Effective communication is a talent that everyone can master, regardless of age, background, or experience. Some of history's greatest leaders are also outstanding communicators and orators. People know the importance of a genuinely effective communicator, which is why communications are one of the most popular college degrees today. You'll be able to get your message over swiftly and effortlessly if you have a little self-confidence and a basic understanding of the principles. 1. Choose the appropriate time. There is a time and a place for everything, as the adage goes, and communication is no exception. Late in the evening is not the best time to start to talk about a difficult subject. Few individuals will be happy to be confronted with important difficulties such as economics or long-term planning while they are exhausted. Deliver messages and hold talks about difficult subjects in the mornings or afternoons, when individuals are aware, available, and more likely to reply clearly. 2. Facilitate an open, personal discussion. Choose the ideal location, one that allows the communication to open, bloom, and mature freely. If you need to tell someone something that isn't going to sit well with them, such as news of a death or a breakup, don't do it in front of others, especially co-workers. By interacting with the individual in the private setting, you will be courteous and considerate of them. This will also allow for the expansion of the dialogue into a broader and more engaged mutual understanding, as well as the correct functioning of the two-way process. If you're giving a presentation to a group, check the acoustics first and practice projecting your voice effectively. If necessary, use a microphone to guarantee that your audience can hear you. 3. Remove distractions. Turn off all electronics that could interrupt the conversation. If the phone rings, laugh it off the first time, then turn it off immediately and continue talking. Do not allow external distractions to act as crutches that sidetrack your concentration. They will distract both you and your listener, and will effectively kill the communication. 4. Organize and clarify your thoughts in your head. Before you try to share any thoughts, you should do this. If you're enthusiastic about a subject, your thoughts may get jumbled if you haven't already identified some crucial points to communicate. Key points will function as anchors in your speech, delivering focus and clarity. A decent rule of thumb is to pick 3 major topics and stick to them throughout your discussion. That way, if the conversation veers off track, you'll be able to quickly return to one or more of these 3 crucial themes. If necessary, writing down the points might also be beneficial. 5. Be as specific as possible. Make it apparent right away what you're trying to say. Your goal might be to enlighten people, gather knowledge, or take action, for example. Things will go more easily if individuals know what you anticipate from the conversation ahead of time. 6. Keep the conversation on track. Once you've established your 3 key points, make sure that everything you say contributes to and enhances the message you're trying to express. It's probable that useful important sentences will stick in your head if you've previously gone through the challenges and condensed them down to the fundamentals. Don't be scared to utilize them to emphasize important points. Even the most confident and well-known presenters repeat their important sentences for emphasis and reinforcement. Keep the overall message simple and straightforward. 7. Please express gratitude to your listeners. Thank the individual or group for their time spent listening and responding. Even if the answer to your lecture or conversation was not what you had hoped for, conclude it graciously by appropriately appreciating everyone's contribution and time, regardless of the outcome of your communication. 8. Set the mood for the listener. This is something you should do before starting your conversation or presentation. Starting with a favorite tale might be helpful at times. This allows the audience to recognize you as someone who acts similarly to them and has similar daily worries. 9. Be eloquent. It's critical to present your message in a clear and unambiguous manner so that everyone can grasp it. People remember your remarks because they immediately comprehend what you're saying. This necessitates speaking clearly and utilizing simpler phrases rather than more complicated ones. Clear, succinct, and relevant communication is the purpose of articulate communication. 10. Make sure your words are clear. Speak at a volume that ensures you'll be heard but doesn't come out as overly quiet or uninterested. Take extra precautions to clearly enunciate crucial statements to avoid any misunderstandings. If muttering has become a protective habit as a result of a fear of speaking, rehearse your message in front of the mirror at home. It's sometimes preferable to talk about what you want to say with people you're comfortable with. This allows you to internalize the lesson. Keep in mind that any practice or improvement of your language will help you gain confidence. 11. When listening, pay attention and make sure your facial expressions convey your interest. Actively listen. Keep in mind that communication is a two-way street and that you are not learning while you are talking. You'll be able to tell how much of your message is going through to your listener and if it's being received correctly or needs to be changed by carefully listening. If your audience looks to be perplexed, it's frequently a good idea to have them repeat part of what you've said in their own words. This might help you spot and rectify misunderstandings about what you're trying to say. People's sentiments should be validated. This will encourage children to open up and, if they're sad, will make them feel better. 12. Be vocally captivating. Because a monotone is unappealing to the ear, effective communicators employ voice color to improve communication. When transitioning from one topic or point to another, it is suggested of raising the pitch and loudness of your voice. When you make a specific point or are summing up, raise your voice and delay your delivery. When demanding action, speak quickly yet pause to stress terms. 13. Recognize individuals. Even if you don't recognize the folks in your audience or that new acquaintance in your group, they are nodding along with you and gazing knowingly at you. This indicates that they are making contact with you. So show your gratitude by thanking them. 14. Also, make sure your body language is clear and plain. Make intentional facial expressions. Use delicate, compassionate, mindful facial expressions to portray passion and develop listener empathy. Negative facial expressions, such as frowns or elevated brows, should be avoided. What is bad or not depends on the circumstances, particularly the cultural context, so use your best judgment. Be on the lookout for unusual behavior that might indicate a cross-cultural clash, such as clenched fists, slouched postures, or even silence. If you don't know the culture well, ask questions about the communication difficulties you could have before speaking with someone from a different culture. 15. Face-to-face communication is the best way to communicate. Eye contact establishes the connection, demonstrates interest, and aids in the persuasion of others that you are trustworthy. If feasible, look into the other person's eyes during a conversation or presentation, and keep eye contact for a suitable period of time. It's important not to overdo it. Use roughly 2 to 4 seconds of eye contact at a time, or as much as seems normal. Remember to include everyone in your audience. If you're speaking to a board of directors, make sure you look each one of them in the eyes. Neglecting a single individual might easily be seen as a sign of offense, resulting in the loss of business, admittance, success, or anything else you're pursuing. If you're speaking to an audience, pause for up to 2 seconds and make eye contact with a member of the crowd before breaking away and continuing your speech. Individual members of the audience will feel more appreciated as a result of this. Keep in mind that eye contact is a cultural norm. It is regarded as disturbing or unacceptable in various cultures. Inquire about it specifically, or do your homework ahead of time. 16. Take use of your breaths and pauses. Pausing has its own strength. Pausing, according to Simon Reynolds, causes an audience to lean in and listen. It allows you to stress key ideas while still giving the audience time to process what you've stated. It also aids in making your message more captivating, as well as making your speech simpler to absorb and understand. Take a few deep breaths to center yourself before starting to speak. During a discussion, get into the practice of taking deep, regular breaths. This will help you maintain a steady, calm voice while also making you feel more comfortable. Take a respite from what you're saying by pausing. 17. Consider how your actions are perceived. Hand gestures should be used with caution. As you talk, be aware of what your hands are saying. Some hand gestures can be highly successful in emphasizing your arguments, while others can be distracting or even insulting to some listeners and tend to shut down the conversation or listening. It also helps to keep an eye on how other speakers' hand movements come across to you. Imitate those who are successful in engaging. The most effective motions are those that are natural, slow, and expressive. 18. Keep an eye on your other physical cues. Keep a lookout for wandering eyes, hands picking at fluff, continuous sniffling, shuffling, rocking, and other behaviors. These minor gestures pile up, and they're all sure to detract from your message's efficacy. Have someone videotape your speech, then go back and watch it and fast forward to see how you delivered it. Any unconscious habit or repetitive motion will stick out like a sore thumb and will be amusing. It will be easy to adjust your inadvertent body language and monitor its return after you have targeted such a habit. How to communicate effectively when in conflict? Make sure you're standing on level ground. Do not stand over the other person or linger over them. This leads to a power struggle, which escalates the conflict. You should sit with them if they are sitting. Pay attention to the opposite side. Allow them to express themselves. Wait till they've finished speaking entirely before starting to speak. Speak in a steady, calm tone. Don't shout at the other person or accuse them of doing something wrong. Let them know you've listened and understood their point of view. Spend time stating things like, "If I understand you right, you're saying." At all costs, avoid attempting to end the debate. Do not pursue the person if they leave the room. Allow them to do so in return when they are more relaxed and ready to speak. Don't attempt to be the last one to speak. This might, once again, result in a power struggle that never ends. Sometimes you just have to accept that you are going to disagree and go on. Make use of I messages. When expressing your concerns, begin each statement with I, and clarify clearly how their behaviors affect you. This will make the other person more sympathetic and attentive to your issues. For example, rather than saying, "I think varied degrees of messiness may be an issue for us," try, "I think different levels of messiness might be a problem for us. Clutter has a way of creeping into my thoughts and limiting what I believe I am capable of. Messiness, to be honest, tends to agitate me more than it should."